Hi, my name is Bouchard and I'm here at the Lupin Cottage, and today I'm going to work on the Tree of Life, and I have a sample here. This is made with garnet stones, and the other one I have is made with amethyst. Now the Tree of Life, if we look at it, has the frame. For the frame I use a 16 gauge wire. That means it's a little bit stiffer and harder to manipulate. And the frame itself, I usually run the wire around a tube so that we have what we start off with, a perfect circle. Roll these tips back like so. And do that on both tips, and then join them together with a wire that is much more pliable, and for that I use a 24 gauge. I also use 24 gauge. Let me take this one. I use the 24 gauge to hold the ring together, and then I cut 12 pieces of 4-inch 24 gauge to do the tree, and I'll wrap one wire at a time for the roots, and once I have all 12 wires wrapped, then I start twisting to look like a tree trunk. Now if you look here, they're all a little bit different. Here I did a lot of about 1/2 inch of trunk, and then I went into the branches. This one has a lot less trunk. It has trunk like in the middle, goes into the branches, and then the trunk. Once you have the branches and the trunk all done, then you'll have 12 branches sticking out, and that's where I start putting my stones on. In most cases, I use semi-precious stones, and I usually start with the top row and do them simultaneously. Do the two top ones and then this and this, and they're usually in bunches of 3s, which is how I do it. And once the stones are on, then we twist the wire around the original heavier wire, and depending on how much you twist and how tight, see how you lose the curve? That's because you twisted the trunk a little bit more. Now, when that is all done, I add a ring here and something to suspend it on a chain. I also make, if you want family Tree of Life, I would make some. For instance, I made one for my mother-in-law where I used Swarovski beads, and there was about 40 people in her family, and so for the husband and wife, for their birthstones, I used the 6mm Swarovski, and then the children were on a branch, and those were 4mm Swarovski, and the grandchildren came down to a 2mm Swarovski, and using only Swarovski crystal, I was able to put about 40 on her pendant for a very, very specialized order.